The following program is sponsored by Jewish Federation of Palm Beach County and the generous gifts of these contributors.
Welcome to our 44th season of Mosaic. I'm your host, Susan Shulman Pertnoy. Mosaic is Jewish Federation of Palm Beach County's weekly news magazine, exploring the most critical issues facing Jews here and around the world. With the COVID pandemic diminishing, the crucial mission of connecting our global Jewish community face to face is back underway with phenomenal results. A group of young leaders recently traveled to Budapest, Hungary to do their part. Today, we'll hear their experiences in this bustling city with a complicated past and a Jewish community emerging from a dark history. We'll be right back.
You have the power to do good that goes everywhere. From here to Israel to Ukraine to 70 countries around the world. From educational to life-changing experiences. From lonely to connected. From afraid to strong. But that good goes beyond our city. Your gift drives connections and awakens identity. From devastation to reimagination, from tragedy to support. Your gift transforms leaders from being a solo visionary into being a catalyst for change. And while you're watching this, your gift is making its way from North America to impacting people around the world.
We're so proud to celebrate our community visionaries, donors who contribute $1 million or more, serving as an inspiration for all of Jewish Palm Beach. Welcome back to Mosaic. I was recently in Budapest, where I joined a delegation of Palm Beachers who were there to introduce ourselves to Federation's new partnership. Also joining the delegation was a young leadership group led by Lindsay Hirsch, who's the Senior Director of Leadership Development for our Federation of Palm Beach County. Lindsay, welcome to Mosaic.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
I'm so glad you're joining us today. Why was Budapest chosen as the venue for the mission?
So Budapest is our new sister city, and we really felt like it is a hub for thriving Jewish life. We wanted to bring young leaders not to a city that didn't have Jewish life, but to a city that, despite its history, was now thriving. And so we thought it was the perfect mix for young leaders from a city that had this Jewish life exploding and bringing Israelis to this trifecta together in a European city.
Tell us about the called the Emerging Leadership Program.
Yes.
What is that?
So ELP was created 13 years ago, and it was created in order to train the next generation of leadership in our community. We know that leaders come into our community and need a pathway. They want to grow and understand not only the Federation system, but core elements of leadership development and how Judaism infuses into that journey for them.
How many programs have you had so far?
So we've graduated 8 cohorts. We're in the process of selecting cohort 9, and we have around 120 alumni, which is amazing. And this group consisted of alumni from all of our cohorts, which was beautiful.
Why were these alumni so well suited for the mission?
So our alumni from cohort 1 are in a very different place than our alumni from cohort 8. So we felt that bringing together alumni who've had a vast experience, as well as those who are new to their journey, was a really good mix for this mission, since we were all exploring Budapest for the first time together. And you could see where people were on their journey and helping each other grow and explore and really see the arc of leadership from the participants. And so I think it would have been a different experience had a current cohort been involved, but it was really beautiful to see alumni from the past 13 years come together and explore what it means to be Jewish and to be a leader in Budapest.
As you expressed earlier, we had not only the ELPers from our community, but we also had young leaders from Israel and Budapest as well come together to participate. How did that work?
So it was beautiful. I think everyone, whether it was the Israelis or the Hungarians or the Americans, in the beginning might have been a little concerned about how would they really articulate their message to one another. And there was not a single issue. They were able to connect in a variety of ways. And one of them, early on in the mission, said to me, one of the Israelis said to me, I thought I would have a problem understanding. And he said, I understand everything with my heart. The language isn't a barrier. And it was this moment of just pure beauty that when you bring together passionate Jewish leadership, the language isn't a barrier. And what matters is our passion, our causes, and why we do this. And that was really evident with the Hungarians, the Israelis, and the Americans.
It was really, I witnessed that too. I thought it was super spectacular.
They were great.
The mission was about peoplehood. Yeah. Do you want to explain what that means?
Absolutely. So in Judaism, we base a lot of our work off Jewish values, and Jewish values feed directly into peoplehood. And what we do with our EL peers, and even more broadly as a federation, is bring together people in order to ensure that the future of Judaism is strong. So Jewish peoplehood is really about educating, in the context of this mission, is about educating young leaders from America, Europe, and Israel, so that in 20 years, when they are board chair of Jewish Federation, or they are an amazing leader in Israel, they can say, I understand Judaism from the lens of an American, from a European, and for myself. And so they have a much more vast experience to pull from when they're leading our communities. So peoplehood is just about connection and relationships, and we base it off Jewish values. And so this mission was all of those. It was Jewish values, connection, leadership, and so ultimately peoplehood.
We're going to have to take a brief pause, but when we come back, we're going to have two young leaders join us for some conversations.
Great.
Young leaders from Palm Beach County are connecting with their counterparts in Budapest, Hungary, to share ideas and how to strengthen Jewish communities all over the world. We'll have much more on that coming up on this episode of Mosaic. You're young, you're Jewish, and you're beginning your Jewish journey. We can help. We've collected the resources you'll need in one place. Visit jtipalmbeach.org to learn more. We're so proud to celebrate our community visionaries, donors who contribute $1 million or more, serving as an inspiration for all of Jewish Palm Beach. Welcome back. Joining us now are two young leaders that were with us in Budapest. We have Beth Wayne and Karen Lehman. Welcome to Mosaic.
Thank you.
I haven't seen you since our trip together. I found it fascinating that at many of the events, we all participated with the Israelis and the Hungarians together at many of the events. What was the conversation like?
I think for me, the conversations that we were having were really based around our shared interest for Jewish community. All of us we're there because we care about having a thriving Jewish community, whether it be in our home location or globally. And I think that a lot of the conversation centered around that and what we're each doing at home and abroad to make sure that we have a thriving Jewish community in the future.
And I think that in addition to that, and I agree with you, a lot of the focus was on how we see our Jewish future and our children being raised Jewish in these different communities, but also just getting to know each other as individual people and finding out what we had in common outside of perhaps our Jewish identity, our work, our lives, our children, how we live day to day. And I think that it was just really nice to be able to have this, break down those barriers and perhaps just talk and ask questions. I don't know about you, but I was able to ask questions of people that I'd never had the opportunity to ask before and to get a totally different perspective on.
I actually had the opportunity to talk to one of the Israelis about his feelings on the same matter, and that I grabbed him at Budapest. We'll talk about Budapest in a moment, but I want to play a clip about his experience.
I have no word how much it's משמעותי. My heart. I think about this experience 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month, and just this time I understand what happened to me here.
It's special to meet Jews all over the world. It's very important to have this experience, isn't it?
It's important to be Jewish all over the world.
You know what? I actually remember who it was now that I heard the clip. It was Ori. Do you remember?
I do. What was amazing was that we were in Budapest, and so there were restaurants everywhere and tents, and he ran into someone he served with in the IDF, and he hadn't seen her in years. And they live in Israel together, but they found each other in Budapest during Budapest. It was just amazing, and it spoke to every part of why we were on this mission. And the clip we just saw was right after he ran into her. And so it was just so inspiring to see the Americans and the Hungarians and the Israelis just come together in this random moment and be so elated. And it was, I just think, one of the premier moments of our time in Budapest.
Because I think we'd all had a little bit of, not concerned, but just not sure how quickly we would bond and connect with each other as well. You bring different people together, and as adults, your ability to just instantly let go and form friendships sometimes takes a little bit longer to warm up to. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the interesting things was that very first day we were there, it was pouring with rain. And we had never met these people, and we'd all just gotten off flights and were jet lagged. And everybody was sharing umbrellas and rain jackets and scarves and huddling together. These people we'd never met, different backgrounds, different...
And language, too.
Different language, different religious identities as well. And, some were more Orthodox, some weren't. And so it just broke down that barrier, I think, that first day, that we could laugh about the fact that we were absolutely soaking wet in Budapest.
Waterlogged.
Looking at these beautiful medieval synagogues while we were doing it, and having Israelis translate the Hebrew for us. It was just it was instant connection, I think.
It's amazing.
I'm going to shift gears for a moment. How do you think Hungary's history has played into modern Jewish life now there?
Really part of what made our trip amazing was learning the history and understanding the history. There's so much intergenerational trauma between the Holocaust and communism. There were so many decades where being Jewish really wasn't acceptable. And that trauma has carried on for a lot of families. Over the last 20 years, people have found out that they are Jewish and they've embraced that Jewish identity. But that hasn't been so easy even within their own families. So just because they have now embraced being Jewish does not mean that their parents or grandparents feel safe enough to identify as being Jewish. And that really sums up the difficulty of creating this thriving Jewish community when people are still afraid to say that
Exactly.
they're Jewish.
Remember, you and I were together at the JCC the first time Beth went again with your group, but one person was talking about the fact that when they take census, which happens there every 10 years, and religion is one of the questions on the census, the Jewish people don't respond. They don't want to answer the fact that they're Jewish. They don't want anything in writing. Do you recall that?
Yes, I mean the last time that they checked the box and the government had a list of all of the Jewish people, they were sent to be killed.
Yes, exactly.
And that's hard to overcome, but the one thing that was super inspiring from all of the Hungarian leaders that we met with who have started their own NGOs and are creating this beautiful, thriving Jewish community is that they're not afraid and they're bringing people into it. And the context that we kept hearing also was about Camp Sarvash, and that's a Jewish overnight camp, and it's a 12-night overnight camp. And some of the leaders that we were speaking with, that was really their first interaction with being Jewish. We heard lots of stories about how they were put on the bus for overnight camp. As the doors were closing, the mom goes, "It's a Jewish sleepaway camp, you're Jewish, bye-bye." And that was it. So, I think that what they've created is something really beautiful.
Karen, do you want to
I mean,
expand?
it's incredibly inspiring, and we've talked about it a lot, and we've seen it on our mission. We had an amazing tour guide and a scholar as well who worked with us, and I think that history, the word trauma just came up every person we spoke to about the context of Budapest Jewish community was this trauma. The fact that there was a huge number of Holocaust survivors that stayed in their same community, in the same streets with the same neighbors, and looked people in the face every day and had to rebuild their lives and went straight into a communist era. So religion, there wasn't that religion at all. And the fact that it's this next generation and these young people who at 14, 15, 20 years old are all of a sudden discovering that they're Jewish and embracing that and finding ways to bring that back to their families. It's incredible. It's quite inspiring to meet these people. And it wasn't just one or two, it was a large number of people that we met who could tell us how. And one of the first questions we would ask these people is, well, what's your story? What's your Jewish story? When did you find out you were Jewish? Because it was so common there to find out at a later age.
Well, now with the success of the camp, you're seeing the second and third generation attend, and that is a different level of beautiful to see, because these individuals who experience these 12 days together are now saying, my children have to go. And that's all you can hope for in a Jewish community.
It really is. We were also at the JCC. I'm going back to the JCC. Beth, you're part of the advisory board of the Budapest JCC. What do you do in that position?
So the JCC Budapest Steering Committee is comprised of people from America and globally, and we're helping them become independent from the JDC and funding. The JCC has been, I guess, around for about 25 years, but they are now able to be independent. They have created their own board of directors, which is a really big deal, especially in Hungary, because in the past it really has been difficult to find people to step up into these leadership positions. They're also doing their own fundraising, and they're really thriving. Absolutely.
They are. And we're going to take one more break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about your experience that you had there, both of you. We'll be right back. Budapest, Hungary is experiencing a rebirth of Jewish culture and awareness. Up next, we'll hear from young leaders who saw firsthand how Federation is impacting the Jewish community there. We're so proud to celebrate our community visionaries, donors who contribute $1 million or more, serving as an inspiration for all of Jewish Palm Beach. One of the best ways to combat anti-Semitism and all forms of hatred is through education. Learn more about the complex issues that lead to hate at jewishpb.org/standuptohate. We're back talking with young leaders of our Jewish community about their experience in Budapest, and we just left off about talking about your experience at the JCC, especially with the new Ukrainian refugees. Who wants to start that one?
I thought the thing about Budapest is it is close to the border of Ukraine, and so it has become really a safe place for people to land as they're crossing the border and figure out their next steps. So the JCC, with the other Jewish organizations, has really become a hub for them. And when you walk into the JCC, they have made their first floor space into a charity store. And that is comprised of donations from the Hungarians and people who live in Budapest, donating clothing, supplies. They continue to get new clothing depending on the season because people are coming across the border with nothing, and they really need the basics to even begin their new life wherever they may go. So that has been really amazing. We were able to be with some of the Ukrainian refugee children, and we braided challah with them, which was awesome. And we were able to make bags up with candy, soap, shampoo, body wash for them to bring home as well, which was a really incredible opportunity.
Yes, as a matter of fact, one of our local residents here, Andrew Reitman, who owns a candy company, donated a ton of candy that we brought over with us to donate to the children.
That was a huge hit with the kids.
Yes, it was. It was. What type of activities did you do with the children?
Well, I spent a lot of time with actually the JCC programs there as well with their residents. So they have dance programs, which was quite incredible, and meeting their more senior citizens clubs. So I spent a lot more time sort of just dancing and spending time with them. And then there was a group of Ukrainian refugee children who were Ukrainian refugees who were over, and we were just doing arts and crafts projects. So I had to bring it home, of course. It was meant to be a crown that this little 8-year-old boy from Ukraine had just, we spent a bit of time working on together. And it was just lovely to communicate, to see the joy and the happiness, and just for them to have an opportunity to take a break, I think, from their real world.
Right, and have some normalcy.
Absolutely, to be there drawing and playing with their friends and communicating. They were so interested in asking us questions and seeing pictures of our children, and just, it was a lovely experience. And I think for them as well, to see that there are people who care about them, people from the other side of the world that really want to help and really want to just spend time getting to know them. I think it was really quite an amazing experience.
Well, the JCC really is the hub of Jewish life in Budapest, and which is really one of the reasons that our federation supports its existence.
Absolutely. Karen touched upon, they have it's called the Shalom Club, and it actually is comprised of Holocaust survivors that meet. And even throughout the pandemic, they were able to meet via Zoom, and that has really kept them connected. So I spent a little bit of time with them, and they had made snacks. It was a really incredible experience. Obviously, not everybody spoke English, so we had a translator with us, but it was really beautiful. And from everything that they were talking about, they really depend on having that time to meet, even if it is via Zoom. But they love that they're able to start getting together in person again, and it really means a lot to them to have that safe place to go.
And there are more places to go now because Budapest is such a cultural center. And I'm going to take us back to Judafest, which is the cultural event for the Jewish people there. Lindsay, you want to describe what it is?
Sure. So Judafest is this amazing opportunity once a year. We actually were there the first time since pandemic, so it hadn't happened in over 3 years, where all the different Jewish nonprofits, NGOs come together and showcase their work. There's an opportunity to volunteer, there's kosher food trucks, there's live music. And what was beautiful was to see the number of non-Jewish participants who came out to really support Judafest. There was a choir, I believe it was a church choir, that was singing when we first got there, and it was really beautiful to see that they were supporting the Jewish community, which might not have always been the case. It was remarkable to see all of the people we interacted with throughout our time there be in one place and support one another and want to just educate anyone who wanted to listen about the work that they were doing.
Why do you think that's so significant for Budapest?
I think Beth and Karen touched on it earlier in terms of the trauma that has existed for so many years. I think it's going to exist for more, but I think Judafest is starting to break through some of that trauma. It doesn't erase it, but it shows a little bit of light in some of the darkness that Budapest still holds. And so that's really some of the beauty of Judafest today, that it's still happening and that you really saw hundreds of people coming out to celebrate from, I believe it was 8 a.m. to midnight. They just
amazing.
Were there all day. It was really amazing.
Our federation obviously supports the JCC and Camp Sarvash, and we have some startup, it's a startup hub called Mosaic. Why do you think we're so involved over in Budapest? Why do you think it's so important?
So the interesting thing about Hungary and Budapest specifically is that after the Holocaust, they were one of the last countries to really be affected by the Holocaust. So you have really the most amount of survivors still there because they hadn't left and hadn't been forced out. So I think it's really just the reemergence of Judaism, but also I think that it really, because of Camp Sarvash and the thriving Jewish community now, it's affected all of Eastern European Jewry, quite frankly. I think that has a lot to do with it, is you have those people there that are still so deeply connected to their roots there, that it really makes a huge difference.
Well, this was a remarkable experience. Lindsay, great idea to send everybody because it really produced wonderful, long-lasting lessons and relationships. So thank you very much, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
This program is sponsored by Jewish Federation of Palm Beach County.